Let's get that off. And holy cats, we're on the air. Welcome, everyone, to a special episode of Jim and Rob Overanalyze Movies, the live video podcast where we love to talk about movies as much as we like watching them. And in this case, talk about award shows, nonsense award shows. And that leads us to tonight's show, the Golden Globe Awards. Apparently, yeah, they're still a thing. They do still exist. This morning, they announced their nominees for the 79th Annual Golden Globe Awards, coming up on January 9th, 2022. And yeah, apparently hardly anyone covered it, but we're here to talk shit, to overanalyze these nominations. And with that in mind, I got together an esteemed panel of entertainment pundits, and they are as follows. In the bottom left corner, we have Dragon Movie Guy Brian. How you doing, my friend?
Great. How you doing, Rob?
Pretty damn good. In the top left corner, geez, if we had enough, we could have done Hollywood Squares. In the top left corner, we've got my co-host with the most, Mr. Jim Chaboyko.
Blue Bombers forever. Woo!
And then, last but certainly not least, what's becoming a regular guest co-host is from our nation, Canada's capital, our nation's capital, Ms. Catharine Johannson. How you doing, Catharine?
Right.
Excellent. All right, folks. Yeah, this was one of the I did watch the replay, and I understand you guys all watched the replay of the presser with old Snoop Dogg there. Let's get your reactions to that first, including this heretofore unheard of, but crashing on the scene director Denis Villanueva. Jim, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not bad to, if you're doing this from LA to default to Spanish, but yeah, I mean, you're going to be dealing with a lot. I mean, I'd like to hear the Korean commentary about how he pronounced the Korean names, which I suspect he got wrong. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tough gig, but yeah, probably should get him right.
and that's certainly not the only thing. Catharine, any other hot takes from the press conference from your perspective?
I wouldn't say hot takes. I was just saying that the CBC news story about it there, the comment was the HFPA, which usually has a handful of movie stars make their announcement, turned instead to Snoop Dogg, who read the nominees behind sunglasses and a red hat. Period. I just thought that was an interesting frame. Yeah.
This is the broadcasting, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, who allowed for years their lead anchor on the nightly news, Knowlton Nash, to wear photograde sunglasses. Remember that in the 70s, like behind like a tent.
Really? Eh?
Yeah. Look at
I do not remember that.
Yeah, was he like, were his eyes like really light sensitive or something, or?
Who knows? It was the CBC in the 70s. It was a big deal. He got to do whatever the hell he wanted.
And
it's actually like any network anchor until all of a sudden they can't. And then they go, but I was allowed to harass everyone not 6 months ago.
Not to lump Knowlton Nash in with those types of folks.
No.
Yeah, Knowlton, lay off Knowlton.
That's the worst he did was wear shades.
Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
And he pretty much looked like a Knowlton Nash, as you would probably suspect. I think. I have great fondness for the man. So,
And we loved him.
And we all of Canada loved Knowlton Nash.
Absolutely.
Until somebody pops out of the woodwork and goes, well, as a matter of fact.
Did he get caught up in the whole Me Too thing too? Back in
oh no, he died
No.
in the 90s, didn't he? Like, when did he pass away?
Yeah, but he was also they made him president of the CBC, and then there was a whole bunch of cuts, and he never spoke up or anything. It was pretty sad.
Yeah.
And then he died.
Yeah. There you go. All right, Brian. Enough of this Canadiana.
Well, that just sort of felt like the end of a Monty Python sketch. Like, we didn't hear from him, and then he died.
2014. He died in 2014.
We are still
enough open Nash.
Yeah, we are the Kingdom of Canada. we still have a queen, so maybe that's appropriate. Brian, and what was your impressions, your take on the presser, on the presser at least?
It was a pretty basic one. I mean, it even sort of started out with I forget what her last name was, but her name was Helen. She's the president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. She came out. She started the press conference. She introduced Snoop, and then she came back on. But it was sort of interesting because she was doing the "we're more diverse now. We're really trying" kind of speech. And when all that hullabaloo kind of went through last year, it came out that there was only 75 or 80 members total. I did note that it was interesting that they brought in
all white.
I think she said well yes, but the fact that there was only that many people to start with.
Yeah. And
then so for her to say that they brought in 20 some odd new members, relatively speaking, that's a 25 or 30% increase in size in 1 year in their membership. So I guess that if the whole point is diversity and getting more people's voices heard, more points of view heard, obviously she was just trying to comply with whatever the social stigma was to get rid of it as soon as possible. But at least they're trying, I guess.
it's putting in an effort.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys, for myself, kind of riff on or continue on what Brian was talking about. Ms. And I suspect she is German, and all reports are she has actually reported on entertainment news. She's been a member since 2004. Vice president, I think, as far 2019 or 2020, as things were changing. She became a full-time vice president, but she's been a producer of the awards for a few years here and there. So it's one of those things where it's like, I would argue she's probably of the system. That said, like you said, Brian, they're trying. For myself, from the press conference itself, all I could think of, and I do have a couple of hot takes. It was like quite the staid affair. Not a lot of, like they weren't doing silly, but they weren't doing gravitas. And then there's old Snoop Dogg looking like he got up an hour ago because it's really early. And if he has half the lifestyle he implies in his public persona, he's probably had all of an hour of sleep. His just, okay, I got paid, checks cleared, read these names. Oh, give the rest over to there. Easy 50 grand or whatever he made. What I was a little surprised, and we'll probably get more into it, is how conservative all the choices are. It almost felt like, wow, there may be a really strong correlation Oscars to, there's no Emily in Paris. There's none of these nominations were striking me as like, oh, there's your typical Hollywood Foreign Press junket buy, So yeah, I got to admit, I was slightly impressed, but at the same time, it's still, yeah. I at the end of it though, and we'll talk about this more later. I got to admit, I have been one of those people saying this thing is going to survive because rich people like giving each other golden statues. And the industry loves promotional events. Even for Jim and I, this was our last year's Golden Globe nomination analysis, one of the most popular videos we ever had. So there is market demand for this nonsense. And so, but even with all that, I got to admit, I might be changing my opinion. But again, we'll talk more later. Do you guys want to get into the actual nominations or get a few in before we talk a bit more about the state of the industry? And I do, before we leave, you know what? I think we do need to kind of go, okay, all of this has happened. What do we think is the future for the Hollywood Foreign Press Association and the Golden Globe Awards? All right, then. Well, let's get into it. I got a little fancy. Never mind Ms. Hona's IMDb page. Let's look at it. All right. There we are on their fancy website. There's old Snoop Dogg. And they have been announced. Murder.
That is such a posed picture. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They look totally comfortable with each other. Oops. Yes, they have been announced. Where are the announcements? There we go. Nominees. This is what I want. Okay, so we'll start off with the big one right away. Best Picture Drama. Yeah, Jim, what do you like? What don't you like in that list?
It's nice to see Coda in. A couple of them I haven't had a chance to see. I don't think there's any big surprises here. The whole project of King Richard sort of I find puzzling, because it's the story of his, the real story is his daughter's success, but this is sort of I can't remember if we've talked about this on the show or not, but anyway. That's kind of an odd one, but I wonder if Coda has sort of an outsider's chance. That was the one that I liked the most out of the ones that I had seen. So, not a bad list, I guess. Just I have to think there were maybe a couple stronger pitchers in there that might have had a chance too. But anyway, go Coda.
Brian, what do you think?
Of the five, and I have not seen all the five. I've seen Coda, Belfast, Dune. I need to watch King Richard, but I have not watched it yet. And I saw that The Power of the Dog was made its way through the award through the film festival circuit during this year, but I have not seen it yet. The one I like best out of all these in terms of viability for awards is Belfast. That is a phenomenal, coming of age black and white film. It's by Kenneth Branagh, loosely based on his childhood, and it's surrounded by controversy in the times that it was in, but it's not a controversial film. They successfully avoided all the controversy, all the politics, all the religion, and they just told the story about a kid growing up. So that was a really heartfelt type film, and that was one of my favorite ones. Of course, I love Dune as well, but as far as like best picture type films that usually win, I would say Belfast would be my pick for favorite of that one.
Did you guys, either of you, or actually, I'll start with you, Catherine. First of all, give us your take. Then, is there any ones you're like, oh, there should have been this, or if they had another slot, I would have put this flick in?
Nothing immediately comes to mind, but it's sort of like their picks have done their job. So like Coda is good, Dune is good. I saw King Richard. I thought it was good, really solid. Belfast, I wasn't planning to see. The Power of the Dog, I was thinking about, I should probably get around to seeing it. And now because they gave it a nomination, I probably will actually watch it.
We may be doing a show on the awards, Catherine, so it would behoove you to check it out.
I know, but it's funny because it's not, I don't have to slap down $15 to go to the theater to see it, right?
Yeah.
Like I can just stream it. So it's sort of a different, there's still that interesting dynamic to it.
I'm still watching The Irishman, so no, I'm just kidding.
Hey, I saw The Irishman in the theater.
So, there you go.
Yeah.
Commitment, Catherine. Commitment.
Yeah, wow.
Well, and it is worth noting too that as you say that too, that 2 of those 5 films are from streaming services: Netflix for Power of the Dog and Apple for Coda. So
That's true.
Guys, before we move to the musical/comedy category, do you, Brian or Jim, have any ones where you're like, I would have put this in?
That's a good one. Typically, that one sort of stumps me because I have to go through everything. I should really keep a diary of the things that I watch because, something that strikes you as really strong in January, you may not like, did I like it that much by the time that December rolls around? But
did I even see it?
Yeah. I'm a Wes Anderson fan. I know it got a couple nominations for music. The French Dispatch could have been in there. He's got a vision and he's got sort of scope and his own kind of grandeur. So, but I'm not destroyed that it's not in there. But if there was one, I might include that.
Right. Brian, anyone you'd add to this list?
Those are both really good picks in terms of Licorice Pizza and the French Dispatch. I don't. Nothing is popping into my mind as an obvious snub. But I'm usually better at the ones where you just throw everything out there and let me go, oh yeah, those ones, that one. But
gotcha.
But nothing for me is off the top of my head screaming snub.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, and that would be my only comment on this list. Okay. I never have just one comment. 3 things. That I've seen 3 of them. I have seen King Richard, Dune, and of course Coda. 2 of the films Jim and I have actually covered on the show. So I feel like I'm so on top of it.
We're practically plugged in.
Yeah.
We're insiders.
Industry insiders.
I said we were all esteemed pundits, didn't I?
Yeah.
I would... like Catherine, like you, I was like, I guess I'm going to have to watch The Power of the Dog. And you know what? Belfast, I may check out right now.
It is really worth watching. It is a good film.
Yeah. Right now, though, I got to admit, if it's about my heart, it's all about Coda. Getting choked up again. All right.
And our buddy who liked one of our tweets, Troy Kotzer, is nominated.
Is also nominated, yes.
Supporting Actor Award, too. So we have a direct connection to Coda.
Yes.
Period.
I believe that was the I'm not crying, you're crying tweet.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on then, folks. We've got the Best Picture Musical Comedy. Catherine, we'll go the other direction now. Catherine, what's your take on this list?
Oh
Cyrano.
my God.
Go ahead.
I haven't seen any of them. It's ridiculous.
Is there anyone in there that's an eye poker for you? Like you've just, there's some, like, I did not need to watch Emily in Paris to go, wait, what? Sometimes you can judge the book by its cover, or in that case, premise.
No, I think they're all going to be. I haven't seen them yet, but I think there's nothing surprising there, right?
Gotcha.
Like, it doesn't seem like there's anything like, what's that doing there? It's like, no, those are, that's what you would expect.
Solid award fare.
Nothing. No surprises.
Gotcha. Brian, DMG.
Well, I guess I'm a little surprised to see Licorice Pizza in the musical or comedy category. I mean, yeah, there are comedic elements to it, but I see it as more of drama. I love Paul Thomas Anderson, but I did think there was a really offensive section in that film that I was surprised that they did not cut out. There's a couple of scenes with John Michael Higgins where he's opening up a Japanese restaurant and he has a Japanese woman in a kimono and traditional, and he's speaking in broken English and really like mock Asian sounding dialect. And I personally found it offensive. I was shocked that they left those scenes in there, that storyline in there, because that's something they could have easily done, off camera or just in cutaways. But those particular scenes were poorly done, in bad taste. And yes, everything is they could have used different takes and it might have been okay. But the tone of the film, the tone of the performance, John Michael Higgins just missed the mark on that one. Or maybe it was the editor using the wrong take. Something about that was off. And if people were complaining about Bruce Lee's the way that the Bruce Lee scenes went in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I didn't find those offensive at all. These ones surrounding the opening of a Japanese restaurant with John Michael Higgins as the white face, the way the Asian women were handled in there was so poorly done. And yes, they were trying to make fun of the times, and yes, he was supposed to be the butt of the joke, but it came off more as racist than it did making fun of him as the butt of the joke. So that one, to me, if you're going to discount anything, and yes, I love Paul Thomas Anderson, I love all of his films, but to me, that would be something that if the Hollywood Foreign Press Association is looking to be more diverse and more inclusive, that might be one reason to not include Licorice Pizza in a Best Picture category. So
Gotcha.
I think so. I have not seen Tick, Tick, Boom, although I want to. West Side Story, though, for me is one that I love Steven Spielberg, and I love the original, but the tone was off. Like, they went a little bit too gritty, and it was bloody in some ways, too. So to still do Broadway, but have, like, bloody street fights and stuff the tone was off in there, too. So I haven't seen Cyrano, but that looks really good, and Don't Look Up I have not seen as of yet, too, so.
Gotcha. No, great feedback. I have seen none of them, and I was looking forward to Licorice Pizza. Jim and I will cover it, and I'm now kind of now I have a little trepidation about it because I much like yourself, I'm a fan.
It is worth watching. I don't want to say don't see the movie and like protest it or anything, but it is full disclosure, I am half Japanese. So maybe that is tinting my view on there, but it's not really something that I ever like. You know me, I'm the last one that ever comes up and says that is offensive. How could you say? Like, I make fun of those who always are. That claim things are offensive, but to me that was so over the top in the tone of the performance, the tone of the scenes, plural. That is something I felt I had to mention on it. So
I think. This middle-aged white guy will take his cue for what's offensive from a member of that community first. We're going to watch this movie with trepidation now. And thanks for bringing that up, Brian. All right. Jim.
I'll keep it quick. Just real quick. I have plans to see most of them. I haven't seen any yet. Cyrano, I'm not sure if I didn't get a chance to look if it's even been out yet. A lot of these, in all our defenses, a lot of them are fairly recent releases. So if you haven't, seen them in the past week or two, which is the time that we've been given, I think West Side Story's been out for a week now. But anyway, it's on the list, and a couple of them are easy to watch. Or two of them are easy to watch at home. The tone strikes me as, on one hand you have End of the World, and the other hand you have sort of teenage romance. So there's the musical comedy thing. There's a lot of pull there. There's a lot of range, I guess. But I'm looking forward to seeing some of them. Does anybody know if Cyrano's been out yet? Or
Cyrano opened in limited release in LA.
There we go.
So it didn't even air here, and we tend to get a lot of the art house films here because we're relatively close to LA. But yeah, it didn't even air here, and it comes out January 20th, I believe, something like that. It opens up well into January in terms of wide release.
I thought I was having a stroke. I was like, "What is this Cyrano?" And then I, did a little bit of research. But anyway, yeah.
Okay.
It is interesting to note, though, the lead actress in the movie of Cyrano is the director's girlfriend. Not quite wife, but she did have his child. So,
partners. All right, moving on. We're now at Best Actress Motion Picture Drama. Quick before we get into this, I got to make the comment. I appreciate what you were saying earlier, Brian, and I'd be interested in hearing over the course of the show what Catherine and Jim think. But there's something about these categories that almost say, by creating a category, because we've seen enough of it to put it in a category. First of all, because everyone's trying an edge, right? Because every creative person is like, well, I don't want to do just. So it almost guarantees that you're going to have those weird overlap cases. Like I could see why they would put Licorice Pizza in a in comedy, but I get what you're saying. Paul Thomas Anderson's work is not necessarily fit just, it's a dramedy or it's a drama or what, comera. I don't know. Anyway, Best Actress Motion Picture, Jim.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by the list here. I'm wondering why Lady Gaga doesn't go by her real name, but I guess that's her choice. Olivia Colman.
Stephanie.
Yeah, Stephanie Germanotta, I think.
Yeah.
I no obvious snubs.
You remember the 80s, Jim, eh? Madonna?
Yeah. What's her last name? Ciccone, I think, isn't it? But anyway, it's tricky with the Golden Globes because if you think, oh, I've just come up with a snub, then you find them in the comedy musical category. I've no strong opinions on this particular. There are obviously a good selection of actresses, all of them very white, but anyway, passing it on.
All right. You know what? We'll go to Catherine, then we'll finish. Last word will be to Brian. I got to mix it up here. Catherine.
Oh, I was a bit surprised at Lady Gaga. I just saw House of Gucci just a couple of days ago.
Uh-huh. And
I wouldn't call it a drama. I don't know. It was like I enjoyed it.
An unintended comedy.
But it was weird. There the Italian accents. It was it felt like it was a sketch, right? Yeah. But it was like the story is interesting, and she did a good job. I wouldn't call it a drama necessarily. And then the other ones, I mean, it makes sense. And the Ricardos, I'm not sure when that's coming out.
I think that's a streamer.
Yeah, is it HBO with a bit of time in a theater or?
I thought it was supposed to be this Friday.
Oh,
I could
okay,
be
yeah.
wrong on that, but I thought it was supposed to be on the 17th that it comes
Gotcha.
out.
Yeah, no, that's for sure on my list. And
I
I'm
could be
sure,
wrong, but
yeah.
Okay, Brian.
Of these 5 movies, I have not as of yet seen any of them. However, Olivia Colman's they've been doing a big awards screening type push for The Lost Daughter, and if you look in the trailer, Olivia Colman's playing a creepy character, but she's playing it really reserved creepy, which is a really interesting take on creepy type characters. Nicole Kidman, that's probably the one I'm looking most forward to seeing, just because I love Aaron Sorkin and I love Lucy. What is interesting is watching her in the trailers. She really does embody the spirit and physicality of Lucille Ball in a way that seems contradictory to Nicole Kidman in most of her films. So I'm looking forward to seeing her in that role and how she embodies it. Lady Gaga with House of Gucci. There's just something about that trailer when she does the father-son House of Gucci thing that infuriates me. Just because it's one of those things that it's so self-clever. Like it's just so like, oh, House of Gucci. Like it's so winky at the camera and proud of itself that there's something infuriating about it that makes me not want to watch that movie.
Mario, Luigi, you need to rescue the princess.
No, it's not the Italian thing. It's more of like the ingenue kind of a.
Oh.
Nah, know what I mean? Like sort of a like, oh, look at me, like the cat that swallowed the canary sort of thing about it. That I don't know. And then the interesting one that I did not see it, but Kristen Stewart as Spencer. I have not seen that movie yet, but when that was coming out, there was a lot of talk about awards nominations, and a lot of the British press were talking about how well she was embodying Lady Diana. And I've only ever followed Lady Diana and the royal family from afar. But anytime you have an American doing a British accent and a historical figure like that who's fairly recent, if she's getting compliments from British press for her performance as an American playing a British cultural icon, that kind of grabs my attention as to what the quality of her performance might be. So I have not as of yet seen any of those, but I am looking forward to The Lost Daughter and Nicole Kidman, especially seeing those two.
Cool beans. All right. Myself, it is nice. All these awards are bullshit. There'll be others, and I got to admit, I would have loved to have seen Emilia Jones in this, like just the lead for Coda, just because, I do enjoy, and again, it's all BS, but I kind of enjoy that Kristen Stewart is getting this. I mean, it's still only the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. That said, that she's getting some accolades for her work, because there is a woman who's taken a lot of shit. How dare you sleep around? First of all, oh my goodness, actress fools around with director. This is news, but then people giving her shit because of poor Robert Pattinson, But it's like, for Christ's sakes, like just how much shit she took because some of the earlier roles she had, like every actor has to put lipstick on a pig every now and then. But you see a lot of her other performances and it's like, no, there's a real actor. She was getting a paycheck. Get off her ass, So it's nice to see that. If Lady Gaga's kind of winking at the camera, what the hell? It would, yeah, I'm not sure which one of you guys said how white the list is. But it's like, really? No people, no women of color, like,
yeah,
not one.
Well, are there in other categories though? Because
I know, but you know what I mean. Like it's
there is, but best performance by an actress in a motion picture, musical, or comedy. Again, whiter than sour cream. You got.
Let's move on then. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, best actor in a motion picture drama. Now here it's like, well, hey, but we got lots of black guys, you know. So, speaking of which, Mahershala Ali for Swan Song, Javier Bardem for Being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch for Power of the Dog, Love
that.
Will Smith for King Richard, and Denzel Washington for Tragedy of Macbeth, All right. Who are we starting with today? Let's, Brian, why don't you kick us off? You finished us off before. Oh, before we get to that, I think we do have to, first of all, we got Jelly Duck in the house, referring to us as like basically the Brady Bunch. Good to see you there, Ahmed. And then we've got Catharine Glenn made a comment called vask.tech. I suspect. No. Hey, you know what, Jim? This is a sign of our growing size on the interwebs. We're now getting hit by the odd spammer, and we've already had a race baiter when we did Shang-Chi, remember?
Yeah.
And now we're getting the spammers. I take this as a sign that we're moving on up.
Yes.
Well,
we now have dozens of subscribers.
We're big in bot land.
The funny thing is they're all female bots too. That's the funny thing.
You know what?
Griselda Day yesterday.
I as best as we can as two middle-aged white men, we're trying to make a space that's, if not safe, at least not dangerous.
It's safe for the female bots.
You know,
the female bots can come in and not be
perhaps they're an indicator of real women to come. But I am deleting that comment because it's just spam. All right.
Taking away the voice of the female bots. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay, so
Brian,
I have not as of yet seen these performances yet. Mahershala Ali and Swan Song. You know, that looks like a decent film, but it looks like a smaller, low budget type film. It's basically looks like Multiplicity, but a drama. Javier Bardem, that's the one that looks really interesting to me because Desi Arnaz was always second fiddle to Lucy, even in their own marriage. So I love Javier Bardem. It'll be interesting to see what he'll do with this role. That's probably the one I'm looking most forward to seeing. Will Smith as Venus and Serena Williams' father, as a real life person, he looks like he really disappears into that character. But I've seen a few interviews with Richard Williams, but I haven't. I've not really gotten to know him as a character. Mostly he talks about his daughters and Serena is one of the most successful tennis players of all time, and Venus has won 7 or 8 different majors herself.
The second most successful.
No,
maybe not. I know. No, I'm being facetious.
I believe it's 23 or 24.
I'm being facetious.
Yes.
She's only won 7 or 8.
Yeah.
That chump.
Only 7.
Why is she not hung up her racket and hung her head in shame?
How dare you? And then Denzel in the Tragedy of Macbeth. I'm not a huge Shakespeare guy, so that one hasn't been on my radar. But the one that kind of grabs my attention the most there is Javier Bardem being the Ricardos. To be fair, though, Benedict Cumberbatch had a couple of films going through the film festival circuit, and they both look pretty decent. So Power of the Dog, I have not seen it, but that one kind of, and obviously it's gotten a lot of nominations.
But there's no eye pokers in there for you, eh?
Yeah, none that they look offensive as to why they've been included or.
Gotcha, Jim. Any your quick take, because we've already we're not off the first page, so let's move it along.
I might make it quick. There are a couple on our list to watch. There's a couple that haven't been released yet. I see bangs aren't very popular with men these days, judging by the photos there. I mean, do I have any hot takes on this?
Or perhaps the men on the panel, with our
three, basically one white dude, if you're going to count Javier as a Latin performer. But, it looks a nice mix of performances, rather than, I know you shouldn't just concentrate on race or what have you, but I'd be interested. Like I said, we're planning to see a few of these, so I'll keep that in mind for when we watch them.
I will make a note. Javier Bardem is actually Spanish. He's a white guy. He's not like a Mexican from, so just a quick note there. Catherine.
Spanish from Spain. Yeah.
Yes, that's right, too. Thank you for reminding me.
One of the descended from conquistadors. That is not a slam on Javier Bardem. I'm not saying this. Anyway,
no, because his uncle was jailed for standing up to the fascists.
Really? Oh, well.
Yeah.
Praiseworthy. Okay, Catherine.
I've only seen King Richard. I want to see the Ricardos. I love Javier Bardem, and also Denzel Washington. I'm interested to see that now, just to see what he does with it. So that might be again the nominations do their job. They're like, now I'm gonna pay more attention to this. So here you've got two movies here I might not have seen that I'm probably gonna watch now. I thought Will Smith did a fantastic job, but it was super, like, that's a Hollywood movie, right? Like it's just classic Hollywood, but
designed
I don't mean that
for
in
the
a bad
Oscars.
way. Like, it's solid. His performance is solid. The movie is solid. So I wouldn't be, if he got it, he is certainly entitled to it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, we're moving forward into Best Actress Motion Picture Musical Comedy. But before that, just wanted to ask you guys quickly, at least so far, if you look at these nominees, it's like these are all safe bets. Like even like Jim and I's reference to how white the actresses were and damn near continue to be, but how white they were. That's like, given the whole context, that's almost a quibble. Like this is so far everything's a safe bet. Nothing where you're going, I can't believe they did that, except for Licorice Pizza. Like that might be the only one where it's like, really, what do you guys think? Well,
but even that one, like, there's been a lot of buzz about it, right? So it's not completely out of the blue. Yeah.
And okay. Brian, any?
I think after all of everything that went on over the last year or two about all of the complaints, all of the all the controversy surrounding the Golden Globes, I think in a lot of ways you have to go a little bit more conservative with your choices. Like if I'm on the Golden Globes, and you're first up in award season type thing, you kind of almost have to go the routine.
Yeah.
You're trying to make all the waves being splashed around the tub calm down a little bit. You're trying to kick the can down, and as you're saying, if you're streaming these awards, you want to get it back on TV, and the best way to get it back on TV, don't be controversial. Yeah. So if you're getting a little bit of diversity in there, you're trying to you're trying trying to get back into the zeitgeist.
You're playing play it safe.
The zeitgeist, slapped your hand a little bit last year, said, no, you got to make some changes. So they're like, all right, well, we made some changes. We're just an award show. We want to go back on TV eventually. Please let us back on TV. So I think a lot of these nominations kind of reflect all of that.
Okay. Jim, do you think, for myself, Jim, I've always seen the Golden Globes as there's a silliness to it, in part because it's just such a corrupt organization. It'd be a criminally corrupt organization, but it's just too silly. We're the big crimes. You've blackballed me and I don't get my access to celebrities to do BS puff pieces for low rent Swedish television. The injustice. The big thing here, as Brian said, diversity. And I haven't seen one where it's like, there's not an eye roller yet. Not one where you're like, oh my God, how fancy was that junket? How Emily was that Paris trip? That was a good one.
Well, really... I want there to be an Emily in Paris and Old Guard crossover that will really drive you insane.
Well, I don't even think it drives me insane. It's just that's my case. That's the illustration of how ridiculous award shows are in general, and especially the Golden Globes. It's like, really? One of their own writers said, we shouldn't have been nominated. What about that one that the Emmys recognized? Anyway. Sorry, I basically was setting up a question for you, Jim, and then I just kept talking.
Was there? I feel like a judge. Was there a question in there, counselor? Yeah, pretty safe so far. Yeah. I mean, if somebody's going to get their hand slapped, it's going to be this, amongst the award shows, it's going to be the silly one, which is sort of a shame, because they've been, they're sitting in the corner with the dunce hat on right now, and that'll probably take some of the steam out of it, I think. Yeah. It was always a bit of a fun, it was in January, after Christmas on a Sunday night, and the opening monologue was usually a little bit of a rip snorter compared to some of the other safer award shows, and yeah, I mean, it had this sort of unpredictability to it, but they've been chastened now, so that I think is going to take some of their identity away in terms of being a kind of a unique and goofy award show.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on with that. Best Actress, Motion Picture, Musical Comedy. Jim, why don't you start us off?
Well, here is the one we're talking about, Amelia from Coda not being in. I could have easily, I'm just looking at the list now, again, all white ladies, or... but Emma Stone, I don't think was, we didn't like Cruella. We did that movie on our show and didn't love it. I mean, she's always good. She's always watchable, but I would easily swap out Amelia. What was her name again?
Amelia Jones.
Jones, sorry.
A Welsh actress portraying.
Jones. There you
Rachel
go.
Zegler is Hispanic, though. She. They made the point of casting a Hispanic actress as Maria for West Side Story. So.
Well, apparently, and I was reading an article. A woman was writing about her again, Maria not being Puerto Rican. She's half Colombian and half Polish, apparently. But anyway, so even there's that little internal sort of like the thing that you heard about in the Heights. Not having enough darker complexioned Latinos in it. But anyway, Amelia Jones should have been in this list.
Yeah.
That's my take.
Gotcha. No one has seen West Side Story yet? Is that correct?
I haven't.
Not yet.
Not in a screen or anything? Okay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Right.
No, I saw it.
Okay.
Saw it in theaters.
You did? And performance was Rachel Zegler, notwithstanding Liberty Heights, her performance in West Side Story, you felt, Brian, was, this is review worthy.
I thought she was pretty strong.
Award worthy.
Maria. I thought she was strong as Maria. I thought the strongest performances though were I'm forgetting the actors' names off the top of my head, but the guy playing Bernardo.
Well, we're talking about
woman playing Anita.
Well, no, I'm just trying to let's.
No, focus.
We're creeping outside of the outside of the category.
She was good as Maria. I don't think she was as good as Natalie Wood's performance in the original, but she gave a very strong performance.
Gotcha. Anything else you wanted to add to this list for best Marion Cotillard? Alana Haim, Jennifer Lawrence.
I did a review on Annette Marion Cotillard. She gave a very Marion Cotillard performance. The film itself was very artsy, very, very artsy. Alana Haim did a pretty good job in Licorice Pizza. Although it is interesting to note too that they actually cast both of her parents and both of her sisters to play the same thing in the movie. So it was kind of interesting that way. I haven't seen Jennifer Lawrence in Don't Look Up yet, and I did not watch Emma Stone and Cruella.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Skip it.
Catherine.
I got to pass. I haven't seen any of them. I will watch West Side Story, and I will watch Don't Look Up, and I will watch Licorice Pizza.
Yeah.
And I guess I should see Annette too.
Yeah. I got to admit, I'm kind of struggling over seeing Annette, but going back to what Jim said, you know what, Cruella is structurally a weak movie. She was great in it, if memory serves, Jim. I think we both thought her performance was fine, but I wouldn't say, at least I agree with you that, yeah, Emilia Jones, we could have swapped those out, but it's not an eye poker. You're not going, what is this doing here? Yeah, that's about all I got to say on that. Moving forward, same category, switch genders. Best actor. Catherine, you finished? Let's start us off on this list.
Okay, let me see.
We got Leonardo DiCaprio from Don't Look Up, Peter Dinklage, Cyrano, Andrew Garfield, Tick, Tick, Boom, Cooper Hoffman, son of the late Philip Seymour Hoffman in Licorice Pizza, and Anthony Ramos in The Heights. So,
oh my God, I got to pass again. I haven't seen any of these.
I'm in a similar.
No comment, man.
Any obvious eye pokers to you?
No, I think again, like it's pretty, pretty conservative.
Yeah.
Choices, like nothing outrageous.
Gotcha. Okay, Jim.
No eye pokers. It's cool to see Hoffman's son in there. White, Hispanic. I've seen In the Heights. It was quite good, but tonally too. It's these, from one end you have an apocalyptic movie, and then you have a story about
an apocalyptic comedy movie.
Yes, which we will see, I believe, if that's not too much of a spoiler, but on our show. But no eye pokers for me.
All right, Brian.
I have not watched Tick, Tick, Boom yet, but I love Rent, and that's obviously about the creator of Rent. So Andrew Garfield looked good in trailers, but I need to watch that still. Cooper Hoffman, this is his first credited role, and obviously his father was in Boogie Nights, which is also a Paul Thomas Anderson film. He did a pretty good job playing a child actor. And it is interesting because his role was based off of the real-life producer Gary Gutzman, who's one of Tom Hanks's producing partners, and they actually the child actor version of that guy was in a Lucille Ball movie that was sort of the basis for the Brady Bunch. So it's all sort of circular Hollywood. Type stuff, but it is just sort of interesting backstory stuff to it. Cooper Hoffman's performance, though, was I think he was really well cast for sort of a slightly arrogant child actor growing up in Hollywood in the 70s. I think he was perfectly cast for it. I don't know how much of a stretch that was, but I do think the casting was really right for that. And I loved Anthony Ramos's role in The Heights. I believe he played that role in the Broadway play, so I don't know how much different the performance had to be between the stage version and the movie version, but I did really like In the Heights. It was a really strong performance as Usnavi.
Okay, so and again, no eye pokers, no people where you go, why wasn't?
No, but Peter Dinklage will be interesting. I'm really looking forward to that one. So the trailers, he looks really good in that role as Cyrano. I think it's a different take on the definition of Cyrano. So you don't really get to see Peter Dinklage do too many leading roles. So I really like that as an opportunity to give Peter Dinklage a romantic leading male role. And if you're going for diversity, to include Peter Dinklage in that category, I think is a good step forward as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving before we move forward, I will take this opportunity as people are talking about Cyrano. Why has Love Hard been snubbed? Because that really is kind of Netflix's Christmas romance riff on Cyrano de Bergerac.
Ooh. We should start a Christmas movie awards. Christmas movie awards show.
I was watching it to hate it and walked out going, this wasn't bad at all. Nina Dobrev for the win. Anyway, enough of me being a smart ass. Best Supporting Actress, Motion Picture. Oh my goodness, this is going on forever. All right. Brian.
Best
remember, we got to keep moving. So, are there eye pokers?
Motion picture, musical, or comedy? So,
no. I said best supporting actress, motion picture. We've got Catriana Balfie for Belfast, Ariana DeBose. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly for West Side Story. Kirsten Dunst in Power of the Dog, and I am not going to give up on that joke. Anjanou Ellis in King Richard. I saw that. And then Ruth Negga in Passing.
I haven't even heard of Passing before this, so I'm not going to comment on that. Nice.
Netflix original.
Anjanou Ellis, I believe she's playing Venus or Serena, but I haven't seen that one yet. Ariana DeBose, though.
I believe she's playing the mother.
Anita.
I'll find out. Continue.
Okay. Ariana DeBose plays Anita in West Side Story. That was the one that won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress back in
Rita
the original
Moreno.
Film. For Rita Moreno. And Rita Moreno's in this film as well. So she was Ariana DeBose obviously went right to the source, or she had access to the source of the role, and she jumps off this screen so much, even more than Maria does, because she's a little bit feisty, she's strong, and just really, really embodies that character. Catriana Balfie in Belfast as the mother, she does a really, really good job in this film, as well as, this could be a very stereotypically mother-ish type role, but she's not a single mom, but she does do a lot of the raising of the kids in that film by herself, just by the definition of the story. So that was a really strong performance. But I think the standout there is really Ariana DeBose in my mind.
Gotcha. Catherine. Yeah, I'm on you, Catherine, aren't I? I don't know. Have you chimed in on this subject yet, Catherine? I don't believe you have.
No, I haven't. I haven't. Yeah.
And just for a quick note, Anjanou Ellis played Brandy Price, one of the coaches of Venus and
Serena.
Venus and Serena. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry, Catherine. Continue.
Oh, I saw Passing. It's on Netflix, and it's an interesting show, and it's based on a book, and I think they did a good job with it, and her role was solid. So I'm not. It's sort of because you haven't seen passing anywhere else in here, right? So it's sort of a bit of an interesting one to throw her in there, but I think it's deserved. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing West Side Story now. So,
going back to King Richard, she is the mother. She's both a coach. Stupid Wikipedia. I thought she was the mother, and then it's like coach of blah blah blah. Oh, I guess one of the coaches. She was the mom and coach.
Yeah,
yeah.
She was solid too. She was good.
Obviously, in my mind, not so solid that I'm like, she must get it because I'm mixing her up.
Yeah.
I'm saying in my mind, not yours. Jim, finish us off here.
Yeah, more diversity in this category. DeBose playing Anita in West Side Story. If anybody saw Schmigadoon on Apple TV, she's the school teacher. And she stood out there as well. So, my wife and I were like, who's she? She's kind of great. And there you go. A lot of times when you like pick up on these things and you look, and they're also going to be in this upcoming movie and this upcoming. So, you're a little behind, you're on the outside scoop, as they used to have the column in The Onion. But, interesting category here. I'm going to out Rob. I think he's met Ruth Negga before. So that's kind of an interesting.
Yes, I have.
When they were up here doing a film in Winnipeg, but interesting group here. Again, at least one of these are on our list, and I do want to see West Side Story. So,
right.
But no eye pokers.
All right, moving forward to Best Supporting Actor, Motion Picture, Ben Affleck in Tender Bar, Jamie Dornan in Belfast, Ciarán Hinds, Belfast, Troy Kotsur in Coda, and Cody Smith-McPhee, Power of the Dog, Jim.
Coder is how they say it in Australia. No, Troy Kotsur for the win. Cody Smith-McPhee from The Road, I think, with Vigo all those years back. And a couple from Belfast. That's pretty cool. I have no idea what the Tender Bar is. That's another one that Snoop Dogg had. He had trouble with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Fleck.
And even, saying, like, it's the Tender Bar. Like, no pot. The Tender Bar. It's like, what?
Who's a bartender?
There you go. Oh, yeah. That's cool. I don't know. I have no idea what that one is. But I'm going for Troy in this one. It's also the one I'm the most familiar with, so it's a little bit cheaty. And he liked one of our tweets, damn it.
Yes, he did. Brian, what are you thinking?
I have not seen the Tender Bar yet, but that looks really good. That's the one. It's the coming of age drama in the 80s and 90s on Long Island, and Ben Affleck plays the uncle of a kid that grows up and eventually becomes Cyclops from the X-Men. Jamie Dornan and Ciarán Hinds both give pretty good performances in Belfast. And then obviously Troy Kotsur in Coda. I would say Ciarán Hinds is the grandfather figure in Belfast. And what's interesting is they're just sort of like named grandfather and pa. They don't really even have character names in there, just because it's from the point of view of a 9-year-old. So Ciarán Hinds is as a grandfather trying to be there as a male figure. Jamie Dornan's not really in the picture all that much, but when he is there, he does a pretty strong performance. So I would say Ciarán Hinds probably would be my particular favorite out of these 5.
Gotcha. Catharine, any standouts to you, or? Again, no eye pokers, I don't think, eh?
I got nothing to add.
Yeah. Myself as well, like Troy, because he was outstanding. It would be cool to, it is interesting to see people from the deaf community being nominated that aren't strictly Ms. Matlin, who was also in this movie and did a fantastic job.
Yep.
Okay, moving. Here. Just a second here, little transition while I click over to the next page. Moving along. All right, we've got. Best Director. It's Kenneth Branagh for Belfast, Jane Campion for Power of the Dog, Maggie Gyllenhaal for Lost Daughter, Steven Spielberg for West Side Story, and then, of course, Denis Villeneuve for Dune. Catherine.
Oh,
hot
we
take.
gotta go with Dennis, I think. For sure. Yeah.
Nope, that's cool. Jim.
Yeah, Denny the Many. Go for nice choice. 2 women directors there. But in terms of just vision, and scale and scope, I do like Denis for Dune. He's Canadian too, so I can't say that I'm objective about this particular one, but I'd be okay with any one of these getting them at this point. So,
Brian.
My personal pick for director out of this has to be Kenneth Branagh for Belfast.
Yeah.
That film is just so well done. It's not his biopic, but it's based on the idea of his childhood, and because it is sort of vague and nebulous in that respect, to get a focused picture out of that idea without relying specifically on his childhood, I love the way that film came across and how very specific it was to growing up in difficult surroundings. Maggie Gyllenhaal
Makes me think of Empire of the Sun.
Yeah, it could be. It's been a long time since I watched that one, but yeah.
Anyway,
and then,
Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Maggie Gyllenhaal, first one. She's getting a lot of pub for it. That is her first directorial credit. Obviously, I love Dune. Denis Villeneuve did a great job with that one. He's done a lot of great films. Steven Spielberg. I'm a huge Spielberg fan. I love West Side Story, but there were some directorial decisions that he went with, making this a grittier film, making it a little bit more grounded, that just to me did not fit. It's grittier. There's actual.
Let us now break into song.
Yeah. The tone of the songs remain the same. The music was perfectly orchestrated, but because they're going grittier, it just felt weird having a Hollywood orchestra, a perfectly directed Hollywood orchestra, over a grittier type feel. So I can't say Spielberg for this one. To me, Kenneth Branagh. Easy,
gotcha.
Hands down.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, I am going to skip past screenplay because, no. It's
why do you hate Aaron Sorkin, Rob?
I have no love nor hate for Mr. Sorkin. Although if you watch my take on, we don't have the scripts. We don't get to read them. We're not fucking. Yeah, so, pardon my poor language. And I'll comment later. Okay, Best Picture Animated, Best Picture Non-English Language. Yeah, we can, these I accept, as we're in 1 hour and 8 minutes. So Catherine, Brian.
Which one are we doing first?
All we're doing is, we're just Best Picture Animated. Any eye pokers? That's it. Is there somebody that it's obviously missing, and why the hell did they include?
Well,
whatever.
It's not an eye poker, but the interesting one there is Flea, because that's sort of it's an animated documentary. It's a lot of people talking, and it's about being a refugee going from, I believe, Afghanistan to Denmark. So it's a foreign language. It's about being a refugee. It's a very serious subject matter, and yet because it's a cartoon, it's hand-drawn animation, it's in the same category as, children's films. So it's hard to compare that one. That one kind of sticks out, not as a bad film, but like it's sort of a weird category to put that film into. I wonder, though, because it's more of a serious film, if that will be the one that wins, even though usually when you think animation, you think kids' movies or family-type films.
Yeah. Gotcha. Jim?
Since my kid's grown up, I've really gotten away, unfortunately, from seeing animated movies. I know you've seen Raya and the Last Dragon there. Incidentally, the Entertainment Weekly, evidently they don't hire any kind of proofreaders, because it was Raya and the Last Drago, and Elaine Haim was all the time. Who's this French guy, Elaine Haim? But spelling mistakes galore. It was actually hard to. I'm like, I don't recognize this, but anyway.
And by the way, I was tempted to change my name to Drago Movie Guy because of that misspelling.
There you go.
Awesome.
No eye pokers here. Next.
Gotcha. All right, Catherine.
Next.
For myself, Raya and the Last Dragon's the only one I've seen, although I will probably check out Encanto and Flea. Although My Sunny Maud, I don't know, that looks kind of neat. Yeah, maybe we'll check out maybe I'll check all of them. Okay, moving forward, non-English language, formerly foreign language. What do we have to change to get back on television? Catherine, we've got compartment number 6, Drive My Car, The Hand of God, or Hand of God the, Hero, and Parallel Mothers, which by Almodovar, because I just like saying a film by Almodovar. Anyway,
I haven't seen any of them. The only one I've heard about was The Hand of God. I heard it was good, so I'll probably try to catch that one.
Gotcha. Brian, have you seen any of them, or?
I have not seen any of these, but it is interesting that Best Picture Foreign Language is not including Flea, when Flea has already been determined to be, I believe it's Denmark's entry as Best Foreign Language to the Oscars. So it is interesting that they're not putting Flea into this category. But yeah, other than that, I've not seen any of these films.
I wonder if that's because they were like, it's a twofer. We'll put it in that one. And then we get a bigger list of that because there's not enough animated films to fill. That's just pure speculation on my part. Jim.
Yeah, well, 2 of these are on.
We need a co-host named Cotton. Cotton.
Yeah, my favorite.
Just desperate to say that.
My favorite reviewer is in Time Magazine, Stephanie Zacharak, and she used to be on Salon.com and Village Voice. But 2 of these are in her top 10 movies of the year, and I'm inclined to. I don't agree with everything she says, but Parallel Mothers, not surprisingly, it's one of Pedro's movies, and Drive My Car is the other one that she has in her top 10. So. Almodovar has a pretty big name. I can see it sort of leaning his way, but compartment number 6. I'm not sure I know much about that one, but interesting category, some interesting choices here. Nice mix.
And on that, given that there's 2 different folks for you out there catching it now or later, whether you're a lurker or just watching it later, yes, we have probably screwed up a number of pronunciations. I will now underline the fact that the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, again, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, is sitting on a bank account with millions of dollars in it and can afford to get that right. We're... notwithstanding our esteemed panel here, we're some internet volunteers. So, moving on. Because it's like, wow, even as I've talked shit about the Villanueva, I have stumbled over a few of these, and I don't want to accept responsibility. Okay, we're going to skip score and song because, And although I got to admit, I do want to make one quick cheap shot, folks. If you look at for best song for Respect, the biopic for Aretha Franklin, it was not for the eponymous song. It's like, really? Wow. Anyway.
I wonder if it has to be a new recording or something to that effect.
Yeah. I will say, too, the music in Encanto
something
was brilliant.
Read for it. Yeah?
Yeah, Jermaine Franco, and then Lin-Manuel Miranda also contributed several songs to the score for Encanto.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, the film itself was good, but the music in it was phenomenal.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. You know what, Catherine? Did you? Because you might have seen a number of these, like the. Yeah, have you seen any of these films where you're going? Yeah, the score or the best song kind of sticks out to you. We've got for score Dune, which I got to admit, I'm like, hey, that's a good call. But all the other films I haven't seen: Parallel Mothers, Power of the Dog, Encanto, French Dispatch.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen. It's my assumption that Encanto is probably I'm sure the music is fantastic. And then Respect, yeah, that's kind of weird. They picked that one. Kind of nice throw in the James Bond in there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that was the best Bond theme.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Sure.
You know what? Live and Let Die.
Yeah,
I think that was the best, and they should have just stopped there.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim. Anything you want to add to this before we move on to the television stuff?
On score, Power of the Dog, Johnny Greenwood is a member of Radiohead, which is one of my favorite groups, so that's cool. And Alexandra Desplat has won Oscars before. He was nominated for the French Dispatch. So and of course Hans Zimmer with Dune and all the bass drops or whatever in that. Yeah, it's actually a fairly competitive category, I would think.
Yeah, and the music in the French Dispatch was great. So
yeah,
cool. All right, best drama series. We'll start with Brian. We've got Lupin, The Morning Show, Pose, Squid Game, and Succession.
I have not seen any of these except for a few episodes of Succession, and that I was rewatching the first season of Succession to try and catch up, but I just couldn't get there. So I have not seen any of these shows.
Fair answer, fair comment. Jim.
Yeah, Lupin was fun and entertaining. A little bit of a suspension of disbelief is needed. He's supposed to be able to blend into crowds. This handsome 6'7" Franco African fellow, and he often throws on a mustache and he's like, where did he go? But the morning show is so full of itself, and it's so horrible. And it's funny that they're both on Apple TV, Ted Lasso and that, because Ted Lasso is about community and all kinds of good stuff, and the morning show is about individuals worried about their careers, and it just if you watch them back to back, I cannot stand morning show. Anyway, so I hope it doesn't win.
That's a perfect segue to Catherine, actually.
Yes.
That's so funny. The only one of these that I've seen. No, I started watching Lupin, but I was watching it in French, and there's not French subtitles, so I might have to watch it in English. And then the morning show, Jim, I think you're being a bit harsh on the morning show. It's not great. I'm not sure it should be there, but there's some fantastic bits. Like, granted, I only watched the first season because the second season is all about COVID. And I'm just like, what? But I love the bit with Martin Short. I think he's fantastic in the morning show.
Yeah,
but
in any given project, there's like my thing is like nothing's 100% horrible, but it's such a show about like in just selfish people, and I guess you have to have those once in a while. But they're all just only concerned about their careers,
as opposed to Succession.
There's almost no heart in it. There's bits here and there. Billy Crudup is very, very watchable and very good in it, but I just don't care about any of the other characters. Yeah. It's a lot of this, get me the corner office, and then you get the corner office and they just bemoan their lives. You know, it's just, and it's tone deaf, I think, especially in this day and age, is COVID and being sort of shut in, and these people that get immense wealth from the bullshit institution that's morning television, with their, let's do something serious. Now let's make crepes, and they're getting paid trillions of dollars. I just, the whole institution of that, and then a show based on a bullshit institution, with guys like Buddy, who was locking his door on the interns or whatever the story was.
Matt Lauer, wasn't he doing that?
Yeah.
Well, evidently, but in a non-legally binding way. But I just cannot stand the morning show. My wife has continued with the second season, and it's once you start playing around with once you start trying to make characters' sexuality provocative as opposed to just being an organic part of the story, you're already out of ideas 12 episodes, 15 episodes in. Yeah, not a good sign. Sorry. I don't rant very often, but I hate the morning show. The first series was actually had some points, and the second I stopped after about 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, do either of you guys have anything to say on, we could almost call it the opposite of this, philosophically speaking, Squid Game?
Yeah.
Catherine?
I have not seen Squid Game, but I did work. Oh, God.
Oh, sorry. I haven't seen. I probably won't watch it. But lots
Jim?
of people love it, so
it's on the list. My kids have actually watched it. By kids, I mean they're
your adult children.
My adult children, so it's not like they're 8 years old and, hey kids, go watch the Squid Game and shut up. No more screaming. But
and if you don't do your chores, you're in the Squid Game.
Yeah, exactly. SNL did a really
Hey
good,
kids, what do you think of this doll?
SNL did a really good funny skit on the Squid Game a few weeks back with Pete Davidson. But it's on the list. I'll probably, I don't know if I'll watch it over Christmas. That seems very non-Christmassy, but anyway.
You know what? For myself, it's interesting. Okay, you got the Lupin. Pose I'm unfamiliar with. Mind you, it's an FX series. It's always harder to get some of this stuff in Canada, but I'm unfamiliar with it, so I can only really comment on the other 4. It is, Succession, as popular as it is, for myself, doesn't it? It just reminds me of 80s, and we can all remember this, whereas the Dallas, it's the same kind of Dallas with less camp, but also like kind of but that same sort of network television fascination with the incredibly rich and then the incredibly rich and the incredibly miserable. And whereas Squid Game, again, coming out of Korea, which just loves to dump this stuff on us, where we go, oh, am I the bad? Who am I? Am I the bad guy but the good guy? I find it fascinating to see that kind of, let's say, group. Lupin, very much a, solid crime fare, solid crime television fare. Interesting little premise. I appreciate what you're saying about it. It's like, oh yeah, that's somebody I wouldn't notice in Paris.
Yeah.
And even in Paris, which is just jammed full of just beautiful people. That's a guy Parisians would go, yeah, I'll never forget him. I saw him a mile away, watched him all the way, and it's now burned in my brain.
Where did
As
that
I
large
smoked.
Where did that large tree man go? Oh, I don't know. It's like, oh, je suis tree arbor. You know, it's just like he's got a little hat on, but yeah.
Okay. Brian, you were going to comment on Squid Game, and I cut you off there. Anything you wanted to add?
I was just going to say I haven't seen Squid Game, but I did work 17 years in local TV news, and obviously the morning show is supposed to be like network level.
Ooh.
But yeah, no one likes working in a morning show. The morning show is where creative journalism goes to die. It's recued voice from the night before and just constant traffic and weather together on the threes. So, yeah, I have a feeling I would get PTSD if I tried to watch the morning show. So, I'm going to be avoiding the morning show like the plague.
Gotcha. Well, there you go, though, Jim. There's a professional in the field.
Yeah. Well, and
backing up your bullshit institution.
Again, about Rich and Miserable. And I do want to say that if anybody does enjoy the morning show, I don't begrudge them that. It's just personally, you know, I just think it's
gotcha. All right, let's move
but it was
on.
Also interesting the picks here that there's no there's no network shows, right?
Yeah.
Like The Good Fight and The Handmaid's Tale, they got Best Actress nominations, but these are all
streamers,
like alternative.
Streamers or cable. Yeah.
And the only broadcaster that got awards was, I think, ABC for Blackish, and there might have been one other show. And that's it.
Let's keep moving.
I want to
then.
point out too, there is one that I do wish would have been nominated, and that was the show Heels. It's about wrestling and Stephen Amell playing. You know, there's heels and heroes and heels. The heels are the bad guys, and that has Stephen Amell and I'm forgetting the other guy's name, but it is a really, really well done show about small town wrestling. And I'm not particularly a wrestling fan, but that show is exceedingly well done. And to not see it nominated for anything on this list is a little
bit
surprising.
of a bummer. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
It's sort of like because if you're thinking of the Apple stuff, like why would they pick the morning show over The Shrink Next Door, right? Or did that come out too late?
Yeah, it might have been because The Shrink Next Door is fairly recent. So I don't know.
They've picked movies that are coming out in December that still haven't been released. So
that's a good point.
Could very well be it just didn't have enough traction.
there's better shows on Apple than the morning show. That's for sure.
Okay, guys. We have only gotten halfway through, or an hour and a half in. I think we basically got to accept we're not getting through this list because, no. Already we're going to ask a lot of people to watch a lot. Is
it tomorrow in Canada already?
It's what? It's coming close for Catharine in who's Eastern Standard Time. So what I am going to do then, folks, is I got two things for you. Is there anything else? You all had a chance to look at the rest of the nominations. Is there anything else you want to, bring up? I'll do a quick round table on the nominations themselves. Stuff where you're kind of going, boy, I really like, I love that I saw that, or I think this is missing. And we will start with Jim.
Yeah. Sometimes this kind of stuff takes for me a few days to filter, and albeit 3 a.m, I'll think, well, that's not on the list. But at first blush, at first glance, not a lot's missing. I think in some categories it seems, even with only 5 choices per, if you've got a couple duds in there or just things that I didn't personally appreciate, I wonder if the pickings were slim this year, because I think this would reflect a lot of production going on during COVID, but nothing that I think would pertain to this year's list, I don't think is missing. A lot of people are saying that Selena Gomez was snubbed for Only Murders in the Building, which we further down the TV list, which we didn't get to. But my wife disagrees with that. She said, she was okay, she was serviceable, but that's one of the ones that's sort of making the rounds right now.
She was fine.
She was fine.
Yeah. You know what, guys? I'm going to jump in before and I'll finish with. Yes, it's absolutely. Damned with faint praise. She was fine. She was perfectly fine. Myself, guys, I am a little surprised. What the heck? Darn it, I can't quite fudge. Pardon my poor language. I can't fucking remember the goddamn movie now. I'll defer. Brian. What of what's left? Is there anything you wanted to highlight? Good, bad, or indifferent?
So it is sort of interesting. Actor and actress, best performance by an actress, limited series, anthology series, or motion picture made for television. It is interesting. Jessica Chastain and Oscar Isaac getting nominated for Scenes from a Marriage. It is, I believe, 5 episodes long. I have not seen all 5. I've watched 3. And those two going through scenes from a marriage, it's really, really well done. It's a little artsy, but the performances in there are really well done. And I have a feeling that those are ones that are probably going to be standing out in that category.
Gotcha. Well, and it's interesting, even as they talk about that category, television motion picture, which I think is like a movie of the week. Here, 2 hours. We made our movie. Fly be free. Whereas these are series, sometimes multi-part series. That is interesting. Before I go to you, Catherine, I remember now, it wasn't a movie. This is one that I'm a little surprised, and maybe I think it was you, Jim, who mentioned about timing in the year. I am, and it's only a little, but I think WandaVision, just in its audacity might be too strong a word, but for a big operation like Disney
MCU.
To kind of, here, we're going to do a couple different things. Loki, I thought, was also very, wow, this is different. I'm into this. And one that was, I don't want to say snub because, but yeah, that WandaVision, only the actors, the leads, Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen have been nominated, but not the piece itself, because that was really, that swung for the fence. You can debate whether or not it got there, but it was like, that was kind of cool. And Loki, I also think, was kind of cool in the way it's sort of, I loved the whole idea of putting a superhero or a supervillain have them ground by bureaucracy,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this first couple of episodes, just mwah. It's like a superhero getting stuck in Stalinist Russia going, why is this so crazy? It's like, There you go. You got to do what you got to do. Okay, Catherine, finish us off on this. Anything from the rest of it? Because that you're going.
Shout out for Reservation Dogs, even though it's not available in Canada until next year. But Indigenous Twitter says it's awesome, so I trust them. I like Ted Lasso. I think it gets better and better, and so I think those nominations are well deserved. And what else? That's my wrap up.
Gotcha. All right. Folks.
Oh, and I look forward to seeing Scenes from a Marriage. Yeah, it looks really good.
Gotcha.
Yeah, first 3 episodes are brilliant.
What is it on? Like, what is that, a
Crave HBO, I think.
Ah, gotcha.
It's HBO down here.
Yeah.
So.
In Canada, yeah.
Okay. All right then, guys. Before we finish, I did want to, as I said at the top of the show, I got to admit, I am, after seeing this, after one of the news stories, and let me see if I can't bring it up here. Snoop Dogg, lots of sausage, I believe referring to the breakfast, and but few mainstream TV outlets. And just if you look at, sure, you got the picture there, but all that looks like is like half of it's staff, like, hey, go fill out the seats. I got to admit, I was like, it's coming back. This will be back on television. Now I've got to admit, I'm not so sure. The Inside Edition guy apparently was there. This is less than what I expected, even though, how does he put it? Even though the event is streaming, which is what Helen is spinning. Oh, well, we were streaming it. That's why no one's here. I still expected to see some network coverage, some local news coverage. Only one local news outlet showed up to the in-person presser. But to me, it made a statement that people weren't here. And so, folks, I'm kind of, I got to admit, I'm less confident. Even if you look at the front page, so here's Deadline Hollywood's front page. And, sorry, guys. So there's Deadline. You get a little corner piece, right? But it's not the headline. It's not this is what we're going to talk about. The Blacklist. That came out today, and that was, I think it was trending at the same rate on Twitter as the award nominations were. The Hollywood Reporter, not there. Like, you've got to dig to find it, and so, I'm wondering, what do you guys think? Oh, yikes. Hello? Is everyone there?
Lost Jim.
I'm here. My head's cut off at the top and bottom, it looks like.
Yeah. Well, that's because Jim's disappeared. Here, let me see if I can't, let me see if I can't fix this here.
You got a snowstorm in Winnipeg that kicked him out?
There's always some technical difficulties with my great co-host. Let's find out if we can't get him back on. Catherine, why don't I throw to you?
It seemed like all the chatter was about the Succession finale rather than Golden Globes or anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That, and like I said, I saw as much about the Blacklist, the screenwriting, the Blacklist, as I did about the Golden Globes. Oh my goodness! This might not be the clickbait I was counting on. What am I going to do? Tell me.
I don't know, Rob.
Boy, really are. Where is Jim? I think, is he coming back yet? Yeah. Oh, wait. Jim Chboyko is unavailable. All right. Looks like we lost somebody.
He had enough.
That could be. It's like, Christensen's full of crap. Time to move on with my life. All right. Give me a second while I repair. while I repair a
Put
good
Brian
friend,
back together again.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Here we go. Okay, I can make this work. Don't you worry. Cancel. Okay.
That's right.
Oh, wait. Mr. Chboyko's back.
I've been having connectivity issues the last couple of days, so I apologize for that, folks.
Oh, good. All right. I've said my piece about where I think but I'll throw it up to Catherine now. What's your feeling on the viability, the future of this institution?
Well, the whole point is to sell stuff, and so people are always going to be selling stuff. Like, I don't know. I was looking on where was it? Wikipedia about how there was a big fight with them with Dick Clark Productions a few years back, and it actually went to court. And in April 2012, the judge upheld the NBC perpetuity clause. Cool. And ruled in favor of Dick Clark Productions, because Dick Clark Productions about the deal that they negotiated, and the judge said that HFPA had a history of, quote, unbusinesslike displays of misplaced priorities and, quote, succumbing to bouts of pronounced turmoil and personal feuds. So I think they had more problem than just like the racist South African at the helm and the general
ridiculousness of this organization. Well, Catherine, doesn't that ring true to you? Like, you and I both, and Jim actually, I'm not sure about you, Brian, but I think the three of us have had enough, whether working in it or working with small organizations, small not-for-profits, where it's like the smaller it gets, the weirder it can get, because you can just get a few assholes can take over. Yeah. Does that, like, this is whenever I read about the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, I go, oh, that's like X and Y, and
you would think,
I recognize that wackadoo. Yep.
It's usually the smaller the stakes, the higher the drama. Mm-hmm. But this is actually like there's a lot of money at stake. Like maybe not huge in Hollywood terms, but in terms of regular people, it's a lot of cash. So yeah, I don't see them shutting down. They'll just say, "Oh, we're diverse now, equity, diversity, inclusion, rah rah," and then it's like, okay, fine.
Listen, we've checked all the boxes. Yep. Jim.
Mm-hmm. The question being about its future?
Yeah, about its future. Yeah. The Golden Globes. Yeah.
I guess there's a whole circuit of these things that we don't even see we might see a press release about it or something to that effect. There's the Independent Spirit Awards, isn't there? There's a whole bunch of them.
The DGA and the SAG and the Writers Guild all bump out their own.
And the Razzies, it would form a circuit, right? It would form a sort of a chain, and this is one step in the chain. And a lot of people said, maybe the Academy takes some of its cues from the Golden Globes. I don't know how accurate that is, but it was yet another way. It's a very self-congratulatory industry, and this was one aspect of it. And I think if it disappeared, it would be missed. I think they would come up with something else. Maybe not immediately, but they say never buy a pet if your pet just dies. So you'll wait a little while. So it might be one of those situations. This thing would maybe sort of fade away, and then in a couple of years something else would pop up. But it's January. Isn't the Emmys in January? Or there's other American Music Awards, I think, are in January. It's sort of that perfect, very dark midwinter. These events are sort of part of that scene, right? So,
they're holding off on. They're holding off on, quote, real television for a few weeks right after their big Christmas splurge. So out come the award shows. Brian, what's your take?
Well, to a certain extent, I kind of agree with you, Rob, on like the small towns, small groups. They're, people's personal fiefdom. Just that pettiness, the I'm in charge here, the condescension that goes in any group.
The blackballing.
Yeah, it's just and the holier than thou, like well, not here we do it. That whole thing. It is hilarious. It's dysfunctional. It's very human. And when you're telling me that a group that's called Hollywood Foreign and Press is dysfunctional and condescending and rude and selfish, I would say it's in some ways it's in the name.
Yeah, what's your point?
Yeah, no. So
where are you going with this?
Well, it is funny too that the Hollywood Foreign Press is going to start renaming categories to not have foreign in it. It's like it's in your name. It's not the non-English speaking press. It's the Hollywood Foreign Press. I mean, look, what's in a name? Things get rebranded all the time. I do think that I mean, hell, the Golden Globes. It's a joke about boobs. It's the entertainment business. It's funny. Everyone's drunk. So, I think it all kind of fits, and that's part of the joy is taking in the drama of the dysfunction, and to not have to deal with it in person, in first person. So I'd say the whole thing's a bit of it's all a bit of a fiery plane crash, and just sort of enjoy the ride.
Here's what occurred to me as we were talking. And I'll put out two of these things. One, we've already, and I think we talked about this last year as well. The numbers keep dropping, as far as, because people have more and more choices, entertainment choices. And although we're in one level a celebrity obsessed culture, on another level, again, much like our choices of celebrities are just a lot wider, and so the distribution is like you got like it's like a long tail. Do you know what I mean? Like you got a couple of folks that everyone knows, and then everyone else, like it quickly drops off into this niche, this niche, this niche. So you look at something at like the Golden Globes, which is all about, like it's so based in network television. Much like the Oscars. Are they going to do things, guys? And this is I'm just throwing it out there. No need to, but are they going to do things, or is there somebody in the wings who goes, no, I have the award show for now? Is there, you think about the drama, back to drama. Look at the drama that goes around when, for a few years there with YouTube's Rewind. Why was that person in it? Why wasn't this person? It's like a weird YouTube version of bitching about the Oscars, which everyone wants to be in, even as they look down on it. That's just me throwing it out there. No, but these numbers are dropping. Is someone out there can scoop it up, or will it just get back in there? Because like you guys all said, have they checked enough boxes, made NBC happy? That's the only one they need to make happy. NBC happy, and NBC go, we got nothing else to show in early January. It is, and I think you Jim, and you, Brian, would, it's live television, and like you say, Brian, the drama, but it's live. You have to watch it on that day. There is no, I'll download it later. You don't binge the stuff. You watch it as it's fed to you, or you don't watch it at all.
Well, I think when you're talking award shows, there's always going to be a certain percentage of people that love the red carpet. They like the pageantry. They like the live. And there's also with everyone being drunk, there's always the chance that someone's going to drop an F-bomb on national TV.
Yeah.
You get enough actors there who have been to enough award shows who are a little bit too relaxed, and then you lubricate them with alcohol. There's always the chance that something can come up. So I guess in that, there's always the chance. But, I think the very thing that's, with cell phones and websites, the very thing that's dividing up the populace into smaller and smaller increments is the very thing that makes us as YouTubers gain the ability to pop through. I mean, like we saw JoJo Siwa, who's a YouTuber with several million followers. She was at the Major League Baseball All-Star game, which in and of itself is dipped in popularity, but they were actually trying to dip into her popularity as a YouTuber
with the kids
to raise the ratings at a baseball celebrity all-star game.
Yeah.
So, I think I kind of look at it the other way around, where I look at, now that everything is kind of more flattened out, that we have the opportunity as YouTubers to raise it up and raise ourselves up.
But that's exactly my point. Is the Golden Globes something that was perfectly designed for network television, but maybe like it could, you know what? If it doesn't get on network television next year, it'll disappear. I mean, they'll figure out how to cash in their bucks because they're sitting on millions. But I think it'll disappear or it'll get bought. It will. But as a big name award thing, it'll disappear. And somebody else right now is thinking about, how can I replace that? There is money still there. How can I figure out? Anyway, that's...
No, I think actually instead of going big tent, you go smaller tent and you go more risque. Like with a lot of things, you could put it on cable, you could go pay-per-view, and you could have it really a Sodom and Gomorrah fest of
the
just swearing.
MMA of award shows.
Yeah, that's what it needs. Hardcore nudity.
The same thing that has happened to network dramas could happen to network award shows.
Yeah.
They all go to cable streaming.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, folks, I want to, first of all, I can't believe this, guys. We missed a great friend of the show. He was in the chat briefly. He's Vlad65.
Yay.
We're just watching Ted Lasso, season 1. So good to know the show gets better. You should be impressed it stays the same. It's so good. But then he says, have a safe holiday, everyone. Family duties call. Congrats, Bomber fans. Bye. And it's like, damn it. Missed you, Vlad. But we're really glad you're here. Of course, let us not forget Donna Matthews. Vark.tech.
Oh. What is this? Maybe somebody's in trouble and they're signaling us or something.
Where are all the guy bots? All the guy bots need some representation.
I'm taking that as a good sign. I'm still deleting the comment. But do want to thank, Vlad and Jelly Duck. We saw you in there. And it looks like we got a couple of lurkers, which is just always awesome. And to everyone who's watched right to the end, thank you very much. Catherine, thank you so much for joining us. Please stick around in the green room for after we end the stream. Jim, you're my co-host. What can I say?
Thanks, guys.
And Brian, also thank you. I will say, Brian, Dragon Movie Guy, I've got his link in the description. I also have a link to the awesome announcements video, the YouTube video for the press conference with Snoop Dogg and the actual full list. And I think that's about it. We're gonna.
That is. I wanted to add, Rob. I did love your responses to all the stuff with Snoop Dogg in there, and I love the idea of we're in the pitch room for who can we get to be diverse, and they go through all the list of all of the diverse actors and performers, and then where on that list is Snoop Dogg? They're like, Snoop Dogg, yes.
That's what we need.
And he'll take our money. Like how many, where in the pecking order of all of the A-listers and B-listers were they, where they're like Snoop Dogg?
That's what we need. Well, all right. Well, on that entertaining note, what I will say to everyone is, stick around in the green room. But let's all briefly wave. Okay, bye-bye, everybody.